For 4 months now, the streets of Hong Kong have regularly looked like this. Battle zones that see repeated arrests and injuries. And there doesn't appear to be a visible way out of the crisis. But what if its chief executive could hold the key? A member of Hong Kong's parliament, the Legislative Council, thinks so. Michael Tien is seen as a pro-establishment voice in Hong Kong, and he's also a member of China's legislature or parliament, the National People's Congress. He spoke to correspondent Mathias Bölinger in Hong Kong.
Michael Tien, do you think that the government can find a way out of this crisis?
Yes, from day one. Because what the majority of the public, peaceful demonstrators and the radicals, all they want is to settle the score and their perceived grievances against the police. And nobody is trusting either side. They don't believe in the complaint against police commission investigation. So everybody is crying for a judge-led commission on inquiry, which in any other city in the world, we've always eventually have a judge coming in to look at police, not the police themselves. This is one thing that Carrie Lam consistently refused to do, and the escalating violence has made that demand so much more imminent and important.
You are a member of the National People's Congress in Beijing, well connected there. Is it really Carrie Lam who's calling the shots, or is it Beijing?
My personal view at this point is that it's out of her control. But she can fight for it. She can go down on her knees and plead for it. There are many things she can do. Her job is to negotiate with the central government on behalf of the Hong Kong people, if she agrees. I don't know whether she agrees, okay? Obviously, the final say on any of these demands, meeting them, rests with Beijing. For example, the final withdrawal of the bill clearly is something that needs to be given consent by Beijing. That's why it took so long.
But isn't that the problem that many Hong Kongers have with this government and with this system?
You mean the central government?
Yeah.
No, central government is just a group of people. They may have perceptions, they may have their preconceived positions, but being the chief executive of Hong Kong, it's her job to convey to the central government what Hong Kong people want, right? Humans can be persuaded, can be influenced. So that's why the public have a lot of expectation that Carrie Lam can carry their message to Beijing. Now, we don't know whether she did, and we don't know how hardline the central government is in refusing it. All we know is that on day one, none of the demands are possible, okay? So declared the director of the liaison office, Mr. Zhang, in Shenzhen in August. None of the demands are possible. Now, if that's the case, how come a month later withdrawal happened? So the problem is, if one demand can be met, why can't the others? So this is what I think is feeding the violent radicals to continue charging. And the population behind and supporting them are probably also assuming that this government is not going to listen to peaceful demonstration, and at least it shows that if you escalate the violence, they will at least give you something. So that is a pretty undesirable perception. I guess the point I'm trying to make is on June 9th, okay? If you can rewind the clock, we're close to 1 million people on the street peacefully. At that time, there's no violence. If something can be done at that time, it would send a completely different signal to the Hong Kong people. Now the signal is, if you can't get what you want, you're not fighting hard enough.
Michael, you joined politics a bit more than 10 years ago as a member of the pro-establishment camp. At that time, in polls, 75% of Hong Kongers said they had faith in one country, two systems. Today, more than 60% are saying they have no faith in one country, two systems. Haven't you guys messed this up from the pro-establishment camp?
Probably. We all messed it up. Central government, the liaison office, the SAR government, the pro-establishment camp, and also the opposition camp. They turned down the constitutional reform. In 2015, my hand is so close to the constitutional reform package offered by Beijing, where Hong Kong people can elect their own chief executive. We missed the required threshold by 4 votes. Those 4 votes are all opposition camp votes. Okay? Originally, the deal was sealed, and then they renegated. Okay, so if you ask me, who should be most responsible for Hong Kong not having the democratic development that people expect, I have to say it's the opposition party, not the central government.
Michael Tien, thank you.
So is it really the opposition party's fault? Let's ask Joel Sandhu from the Global Public Policy Institute. Now, he's been following developments in Hong Kong over the past many months and, in fact, recently returned from Hong Kong. Joel, welcome. Are pro-democratic parties in Hong Kong to blame for the lack of democracy in the Chinese territory?
First of all, I think, respectfully with Michael Tien, there's a few things he said holds true, but not everything. I wouldn't say it's the pro-democratic parties that are solely at fault. I think what they did fight for was what they perceived was guaranteed to them, which was initially universal suffrage. Short of that, that did not happen. What was offered to them was a pre-selection of candidates by pro-Beijing party. And based on that, people could vote for their chief executive. And that is not seen by pro-democratic party people that as what was guaranteed to them.
It's also worth pointing out that Michael Tien is generally seen as a pro-establishment lawmaker in Hong Kong. But let's just look at something else he talked about. He talked about Carrie Lam, essentially almost signaling that the ball could be in Carrie Lam's court if she, quote, can fight for it, if she can go down on her knees and plead for it, essentially making the case for Carrie Lam so that she can make the case for the people of Hong Kong. Could Carrie Lam swing it in the favor of Hong Kong people? It
is her job to represent the people of Hong Kong, no doubt. She is the chief executive. It is her mandate to represent what is in Hong Kong's best interest, Hong Kong people's best interest. But you have to ask yourself one question, though. Who does she answer to? So she may be able to carry the message. Carrie Lam can carry it to Beijing, but she still has to answer to her superiors, so to speak. And those are the folks that sit in Beijing, are the decision makers in Beijing, and ultimately she takes her cue from them. So it's very convenient to say she can represent, she can go on her knees and beg and plead. But ultimately, she has to also carry out the mandate which is given to her from China. So it's a bit of a cop-out, if you ask me. So what is the way out? Carrie Lam takes her orders from Beijing. She needs to answer to them. Protesters continuing with their protests on the streets, something that you yourself have seen because you were in the territory not so long ago. What is the way out? More protests? A hardening of stances on both sides? That's $1 million question, if you ask me, and that's what everyone is thinking about. But one thing is certain. China should also see, the Chinese government should also see that it is in their best interest to follow through with the one country, two systems agreement, which was signed between China and the United Kingdom. Now, what we're seeing at the moment is the Chinese government interpreting that agreement as they see fit. And if you ask me personally, I don't think that is the way out. There is the agreement that until 2047, Hong Kong is a one country, two systems place with a special agreement. What we are seeing now is that it's becoming more one country, two nationalisms. Hong Kong people hardening their stance, saying we are Hong Kongers and mainland is Chinese. And this is partly to do with their dissatisfaction that this agreement isn't respected. Right. We'll have to leave it there for the time being. Joel Sandhu, thanks so much for coming in.